So end of the day, first day of PASS here in Seattle.
Well, for those of you who haven't done a pre-con already,
you
and I, this is the end of the second day that we've been here.
That's true, that's true. How'd your pre-con go? How'd you feel about it?
It went well. I think sometimes you know what it's like when you do a presentation, you think, it didn't go so well, and then everybody comes back and says really nice things, and then you think, oh, well, maybe it did go okay. But it's hard to tell.
Yes.
I hopefully I converted some more people to the cause of Power Query and M, and something that I feel passionate about, and I think there's a growing cult of people who like that tool.
You definitely have some enthusiasm around Power Query and M. I read your weekly blog posts, and you have a lot to say about it.
Well, it is, as Matt Mason always says, it's taking over the world. We've gone from Excel to Power BI, and from Power BI to analysis services, and then, well, it's in the common data service. I really need to spend some time to understand how it's working there, and who knows where else it might turn up.
Sure.
Personally, I have ambitions that it'll turn up in reporting services.
I think that would be awesome.
Because imagine, for me, Power Query and reporting services would actually, and Report Builder in particular, would be the perfect match. Whenever I think about why perhaps Report Builder never quite got the amount of traction that maybe Microsoft wanted it to get, is that they cracked the problem of laying out a report, but they never cracked the problem of the people that want to do kind of self-service report building don't know how to write SQL, they don't know how to write queries. But if you then put the Power Query query builder inside Report Builder, and people can then drag and drop and click and build their own queries, and then you use that to feed a reporting services report instead of a Power BI report, I think there would be a lot of value there.
And I know that there's been some discussion about doing that. Let me formally introduce you.
Oh, yes.
So Chris Webb from London. Chris has
near
been
London, yes.
near London. Chris Webb from the UK.
From the UK.
And Chris has been you've been an important member of this community for a long time, in my view.
You say important with kind of like those floating double
not
quotes
not
there,
at all. You
like
have
special.
been just a rock star in the community. I've looked up to you.
Village idiot.
Anyway, but we've been familiar for quite a while.
Well, we have. I can't even remember when I first met you. You've been on the scene as long as I've been around.
I don't know about that, but we're not going to one up each other with our humility. But Chris, you have really centered your career and put a lot of energy and research and effort into being on the leading edge of Microsoft BI. I think first with analysis services. I've looked to you for learning around MDX and multidimensional design, and then tabular design and DAX. And lately you've been paying a lot of attention to Power Query and the M data mashup language.
Yeah.
So why are you so passionate about M and Power Query?
That's a good question. I wish that I could say that I'd kind of studied the field, looked at all of these products, and made a kind of conscious, serious decision that this is a product with a future, therefore I'm going to bet my career on it.
All right.
That's not true.
Is it not?
Well, no. I think my decision was literally based on the fact that I found this tool. I thought, oh, this is really cool. I like playing with it. And then I just carried on playing with it and carried on playing with it and ended up blogging about it a lot. And I just fell in love with it rather than made a cold, hard-hearted decision to use it. And I suppose if I've fallen in love with it and think, well, this is going to be useful, this is going to be something that I love, maybe other people will love, and maybe that's the best determining factor for whether a product's going to be successful or not.
Sure. Well, and you're not alone in your love affair with Power Query. I was talking to Reza Rad earlier today, and he also is a strong proponent of Power Query. We can do some really interesting things with Power Query.
Yes.
We've had ETL tools in the past, ETS and SSIS, that get the job done. but it's dated technology, though there may be some maturity there. But there's some innovation around Power Query that really gives me the flexibility to get data from a lot of different places, to kind of treat it in the same way, regardless of where that data was acquired from, and to be able to run it through common transformation steps in a very easy, approachable manner. So what is so innovative about Power Query, comparing it to conventional ETL tools?
Well, I think the first thing to say is to pick up what you said. It's easy and approachable. You know, it's kind of fashionable for technologists to kind of do down the impact of kind of UI design and focus more on kind of raw query speed and data crunching. But actually, it's just such a pleasant tool to use. It's so easy and efficient. And you know, a lot of the time you would say, oh, well, I don't want to use the UI. I just, you know, give me the code, I'll be a lot more efficient. Actually, when it comes to doing stuff, I find that I just use the UI more often because I can be really, really productive. You know, like a lot of tools, you kind of graduate beyond the basic stuff offered by the UI. I think actually with Power Query, I've just stayed with the UI because it doesn't do anything that you couldn't do before with other tools, with other languages. The way it's designed just makes it so easy to get from one place to another with data, and I think that's the number one thing that I like about it.
Okay, well, Power Query started as an add-in for Excel, and arguably the user interface is much like Excel, a tool that is very familiar to a lot of people and a tool that people love to use. But now we're finding Power Query in other places. It's part of SSAS Tabular, and do you see that trend continuing? What's the future of Power Query?
It's in the Common Data Service, and I have to admit that I don't really know much at all about the Common Data Service. But you know, it's turned up in there, and it's turned up crucially in a web-based form. That to me is the most exciting thing about it turning up in the Common Data Service. Not that it's just turned up in this other place, but it's turned up as a web-based incarnation, because Power Query and Excel and Power BI Desktop, they've been desktop tools. Now that we have a web-based interface for the Power Query language, you can imagine that this would allow you to do Power Query stuff for other web-based tools. You know, why not have that in the Power BI portal for loading data directly into Power BI without the need for Power BI Desktop?
Yeah, that would be astounding.
You know, people are always complaining about Power BI Desktop. I want it on the Mac. Well, what if it wasn't a desktop tool? What if everything you could do in Power BI Desktop you could do in the web browser? Well, you know, it sounds like the Power Query part of the thing is almost there. They're obviously working on it.
True.
So you know, that's exciting and interesting.